A French noblewoman wearing pants in 1348 is the least believable thing in this game. Now let's go to the comments and see what the historical experts think about that sin. This game operates on a sadness exponential curve. It goes from a halcyon beginning to the end of days in just a couple minutes. It was starting to look as if ledge paint was falling out of favor, but 2019 arrived and brought that gameplay crutch back with a vengeance. This game kills a lovable dog off faster than even John Wick did. You have to build up to killing the dog, because that's the most emotional scene you are going to get. Doing it at the beginning means you peaked way too early, and none of the human deaths we're supposed to care about will feel as unfair as this one.
You are to stay here with your brother.
Add another entry into the growing genre of daycare simulators. It's like game developers are making games with childless women about to hit 40 in mind. Our future will do away with cat ladies in favor of menopausal women raising virtual children.
Why? What's
Close
happening?
the door behind me and do not open the shutters, whatever happens.
Would it kill a parent to spend a moment informing their child of the threat beating on their door before telling them to hide? Villains are always introduced feet first.
Where is he? I won't ask again.
You're here for Hugo. It stands to reason Hugo's in the house behind you. An interrogation is not needed and in fact is wasting time. Amicia's father gets fridged pretty fast. So fast in fact that I don't believe I even learned his name. Nobody expects the French Inquisition. Really, no one expects it. I'm not sure what Amicia's mother, Beatrice, left her and Hugo to go do while the Inquisition killed her husband, but she does return in time to save Amicia and Hugo, almost as if she was forced off screen just so this could awkwardly happen.
You have to take your brother to Laurentius.
The doctor?
Yes, he helped me treat Hugo. He will look after you.
And what about you? You
do
have
not
to come.
need me, Amicia.
There's no reason you can't go with them. Just step through the door. Beatrice was pressed against the door just before Nicholas attacked. Later, we find out that it was not her that Nicholas stabbed, but the servant who somehow moved Beatrice out of the way and stood in her place without making any noise. Also, Amicia would believe her mother was dead. That happy and idealistic opening seems at odds with the state of the rest of France, which is suffering from plague, rats, and an English invasion.
What has got into you all?
Well, disease for one. You seriously didn't hear of it?
Hugo, go through there. Open it for me.
I am very sure Amicia could fit through the same window no problem instead of sending Hugo through it to unlock the door for her.
Mommy will protect us.
That's enough.
I want to see
Mommy is dead, Hugo. You'll never see her again. Or Daddy.
Are French game developers part of some collective hive mind? Because I could swear I'm currently playing through the same plot in Life is Strange 2. They both even use the same idea of an older sibling not telling the younger sibling with a special power about their dead parent, which leads to the younger sibling having a freakout moment once he discovers the truth. Might as well call this game La Vie est étrange.
You will leave, yes, and never come back.
Please, no. I didn't want to.
It's very hard to make a protagonist in a video game express remorse over killing someone when that remorse lasts only a few seconds before they get over it and develop a seeming taste for blood, killing everyone else in their path with little remorse. Oh yeah, we're adults and we can easily climb over chest-high walls. Why didn't we think of that sooner before she killed our leader?
Please, someone has to help us. Do it for him at least.
The Robert de Rune, coat of arms.
We are his children.
Oh, you're rich. I guess the church can help you then. Let it be known that I passed on the far darker joke I could have made here. Use your imagination if you want to know what it was.
I shall try to put you on the path to Laurentius's farm, but after that, may God watch over you.
Father Thomas knows that the church is infested with plague rats that have killed the rest of the monks, but decides to send the kids through it without informing them of the threat. Funnily enough, this developer made a Ratatouille game back in 2007. I guess the idea for this game sprang from the push to make a mature-rated version. Even though the rat swarms are well done and make for great moments, I can't help but suspect this idea was taken from the Gears of War Razorbat level and made into an entire game. It would be incredibly easy to stop once on top the barricade and grab the torch from the holder before moving, but the game insists on making Amicia look dumb so it can keep her from having permanent light sources. She learns to craft all sorts of alchemy potions on the fly, but can't seem to figure out that wrapping an oil-soaked cloth around a stick would render every rat swarm she encounters a pretty negligible obstacle. Later on, she doesn't even take torches with her on missions when she knows she will encounter rats. Considering the size of this farm and that there appears to be only a sick old man, Laurentius, and his apprentice Lucas running it, I don't see how there could have been this many pigs here for the Inquisition to cull.
Ancient evil courses through your family's veins, in its blood. Your mother and I attempted to slow its progress, but ever since the Great Break, the process has quickened.
There is a whole lot of history here that sounds very interesting, but with no context I'm just left with no clue as to what the game is trying to tell me. A family curse I can get, but if you want to complicate it you better be ready to drop some facts.
What will it do to him?
The macula cares for neither good nor evil. It evolves with its host. The change things. The world.
The macula does incredibly vague things apparently. That's just how they wrote the history books back then. This is the most egregious use of the can't take that torch with you barrier. Amicia can easily reach down and pick it up.
Have to take him by surprise. Here, take these.
Lucas could have given Amicia that a lot sooner. He does this with multiple alchemy items. With the amount of dead soldiers on this battlefield, this had to be such a Pyrrhic victory for the English that they would have to surrender to the French.
Your everyday corpse robber usually gets a sword in the belly. No questions asked. But me, I've got an eye for that fancy jewellery. And you're lucky I like gold better than blood, Lady de Rune.
But you certainly didn't see her necklace when she was captured, meaning the soldiers should have just killed her then and been done with it. Arthur, one of the two thieves that got Amicia and Hugo caught, climbs a trebuchet after rescuing Amicia, and somehow got from there to the camp's walls to cause distractions. An impressive trick since there was no path from the top of the trebuchet to the walls.
The girl's escaped! Her cage is open, everyone's looking for her! Spread out! Watch the doors!
Don't bother leaving someone to guard Hugo. It's not as if rescuing him would be the first thing on the mind of the girl who just escaped from you.
Run!
I'm not going to say gunpowder didn't exist in Europe in 1374, because it had made its way from China by then, but I don't believe it was being used in barrel bombs at the time.
Don't let them get you.
Stop running! Deliver Hugo to us!
Coming!
Rather than doing your Terminator stomp, why not sprint and actually try to capture them? The chateau was built with the purpose of protecting against the rat swarms, with moving fire cauldrons and a pit to contain the rats. However, the last time there was a recorded rat plague like this in the game's fiction was the Plague of Justinian in 541 AD, which took place in the Eastern Roman Empire. The territory that would come to be France was part of the Western Roman Empire, which fell well before the Plague of Justinian occurred.
They were working on a very complex elixir that would allow him time to prepare.
And do you know how to do it?
I don't have their knowledge, but their work was inspired by a forbidden book, the Sanguinis Itinerary.
So
You can pinpoint the moment the writer gave up and put in the most cliché thing he could think of when nothing else would come to him, when a magic book of plot direction is introduced in the plot.
Perfect.
If I may be so bold, we know it comes from those rats, but what's it for?
I have to think at least some of the Inquisition soldiers are here due to holding very righteous beliefs, and would have an issue with church officials practicing alchemy with magic rat crystals. You might as well call the Catholic Church the Umbrella Corporation of the Middle Ages. Hypodermic needles did not exist until the 17th century.
The only thing that can help us find the book is the son of a smith.
Vitalis wants the same alchemy book that Lucas needs to create a cure for Hugo. He ends up failing to get the book, but apparently it was never that important because he fulfills his plans without it, not even seeming inconvenienced by the loss of it. So why have his Inquisition tear up the university and capture the blacksmith's son who built the door to hide it if it was never needed? The only thing it even teaches is how to cure the macula, something Vitalis would not want.
You built that door with your father. Now, you'll open it for us.
If Vitalis was willing to tear the rest of the university apart looking for that book, why didn't his Inquisition just break through the stone relief hiding the entrance to the library since they know where that is? It wouldn't be that hard. If someone could build a hidden library without a needlessly obtuse moving shelf system, that would be great.
You'd better believe it and get back quickly. They'll be here any second.
Any second now. Still waiting. I'm watching them slowly approach. Not sure why they're not running towards us. All of that work to build a secret door to hide the book, and there was a much easier regular door that accessed it right here. All of the important information is in the middle of the book cliché. It's been over 3 weeks. Amicia really needs to clean that blood off her nose.
Mother is alive? She's alive? Hugo mustn't know anything of this.
Even that she's alive? It might help him.
And what will we say when he wants to see her?
I think Hugo is capable of understanding that his mother is being held by bad people who want to do them harm. That is, if you even attempted to explain it to him. Instead, he overhears it. There's really no reason to not tell Hugo the good news other than to manufacture an event later. These rats are more like the Zerg if these are the kind of nests they are building. The rats have not touched the bodies of Amicia's father or any of the servants. This is another moment when the game sets out something mysterious only to never explain it. I suppose it could be because Hugo's will keeps him from eating people he cares for? But that never stops him from eating Amicia when you mess up. There would not be enough food to sustain rat colonies of this size, especially in the French countryside during winter. rat tornadoes. All of the candles in Hugo's room are still lit 3 weeks after they were forced to flee their home. No one has been here since, and the rats fear light, so they are not the ones doing it.
Spit it out! What on earth is
The
it?
cure for Hugo. She was making progress, but she didn't have time to finish it.
You mean the same cure that you...
Yes, without the book. It's incredible she was able to get this so far.
It would have been nice had Beatrice mentioned this elixir while they were escaping the Inquisition, since the entrance to her lab was right beside the gate Amicia and Hugo escaped through.
So, am I cured now?
Weirdly, no, he isn't. Despite all the work Amicia went to get the book, then the unfinished elixir her mother made, then completing that elixir, Hugo still has the macula afterward.
Will we never see Mummy again?
Oh, Hugo. I told you. She won't be coming back.
Our brave hero is content with leaving her mother to the Inquisition's torturers. I can accept a dream or hallucination sequence when there is a good reason for one, but Amicia falling down while looking for Hugo who has run away is pretty weak sauce for the stew. Hallucination sequences also give the developer a reason to make a level made up entirely of assets from previous levels.
You hid the truth from him.
But
His emotions, Amicia.
Hallucinations will always tell you how much you suck, cliché. We are now 2 levels deep, because even after waking up, Amicia is still hallucinating about finding Hugo. Even though a dream sequence is almost cheating when it comes to visuals, I am not jaded enough to deny this one impressed me. Locking Hugo up in this room is smart. Locking him in a room that has a crawlspace hole in the cupboard into the adjacent room was not so smart. For the entire game, Amicia had to hold Hugo's hand or stay near him so he wouldn't panic and alert guards. Now the kid can sneak past guards all on his own.
If the books are correct, my blood and his will be bound.
Would that be the book that you never got your hands on, and that you made out to be necessary for this blood ritual to give you the macula? Better hope you shared a blood type with Hugo if you were injecting his blood into yourself.
Go and see whether Beatrice Doreen has regained consciousness.
Go waste your time talking to the woman who hasn't answered any of our questions so far, and it's completely useless to me now that I have the macula.
If I am with you, the voice, are you ready to reply?
This seems way more effective than creating a cure that did nothing but slow the progression. Why didn't you focus on teaching Hugo how to control the macula to begin with? Amicia is not exactly the most proactive heroine. After Hugo ran away and turned himself into the Inquisition to find their mother, Amicia sat around in the chateau for a month doing nothing except waiting for the final act to arrive. It's been over a month. Wipe that blood off your damn nose. After a month of brainwashing, Vitalis sent Hugo to kill Amicia, supposedly so he can cross the final threshold. Hugo already seems like he's got pretty good control over the rats, so this seems completely unnecessary. Arthur hasn't had nearly enough character development to turn his back to a supposedly dead villain. Well, that brainwashing was easily broken. All Vitalis did was give Hugo back to Amicia and get his right-hand man killed. You could not have picked a worse time to release a game that features the destruction of Notre Dame. Even though visually this is pretty cool, boss fights are the big weakness of this game, as they generally are in most stealth games not named Metal Gear. Just like that, the rats and plague disappear even though Hugo is still the carrier of the macula.
We're rats. We're the rats. We pray at night, we stalk at night.